Hey folks, we're going to do some Eberron artwork today, so give me a hot second here to check my signal, go through my intro spiel, and we'll get into some fun. So hold on here real quick, checking to make sure my signal is coming through loud and clear. Checking to make sure my signal is... Yeah, that sounds great. Alright, cool. There's that. I don't know, is there anything off about that sound? I think it sounds pretty good actually myself, so I don't think I'm very concerned about like any further muffling or anything. I guess I could put like a fuzz box around it. That might help it a little bit, but I don't know if it's really critical or not. I can always try to up my game though. So if you think I can potentially up my game by like adding a fuzz box or some sort of demuffler or whatever, let me know and I'll research this stuff if it sounds like it's something that would be important for me to come through more clearly. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games. I illustrate them, then I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for the past number of years. There's a slew of links in the description down below to different books that I've already published on the DMs Guild for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and they have extensive previews. So if you're here for the pixels, there's probably about 150 different illustrations across the links down below that you can take a look at, and there are others that I just didn't link. So check around, see what there is. If you're a D&D enthusiast, no matter which side of the screen you're on, I tend to build for both players and DMs to use the tools that I create. So if you think that stuff is cool, play it in a game. If you like it, come back around, make a purchase. It's certainly appreciated. Otherwise, support to the channel is best achieved through, you can follow me on Twitter if you're still around. I'm at Phil Kearney, and I always post when I'm going live. So you can always catch a notification that I've gone live. But I think more reliably is probably like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications directly from YouTube on your phone when I'm up and running, making artwork and ranting about it like a madman. So, hey, we picked up a new subscriber. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate you. Our goal is trying to get to at least 1,000. So anything you can do to help push the needle, that is really, really appreciated. Otherwise, you can check me out on Patreon down below if you want. But right now, I'm just trying to build an audience. Once I get there, then I can start doing smart stuff with Patreon. So, but hey, if you're inspired, be welcome. I ain't gonna fight you over it. So what are we doing today? We are working on more character art here. So we've been making these NPC tokens for the... Yes. We've been making these tokens. These are the NPCs that introduce the different plot hooks that the characters can lead into the adventure through. In the Crystals of Mabar adventure. Oops, I forgot to... Boy, I am really off my game today because here's the book cover that we created for Crystals of Mabar. When it's on the DMs Guild published, it'll look something like that. Hopefully it's interesting enough for people to want to click on it and find out what's going on inside here. So if they do, these are the NPCs that lead the characters into the adventure. Crystals of Mabar, it's an 8th level adventure in Eberron set in Karnath. Connecting you to the Outer Realms. So watch out. You know what? I'm going to grab a couple sample images here off the interwebs. Let's go with Orc Shaman. And we'll just grab some artwork for our Shaman. Shamayamaya. Shaman. Hey, that guy looks kind of cool. Meh. Wowsy, whoa. This guy looks pretty pimp. Well, you're a little too dead for me, dude. You know? I'm just looking for something that's got some good punchy color to it that I'd want to use as a reference. So let's check this out. It's not horrible. It's not what I'm looking for, though. I want something bushy. That might actually be... Nah. That's a figurine. That's not going to give me the kind of color I want. Let's see. No. Ooh, wait. This may be the one. Let's open that image in another tab. Okay, that's scruffy. I think this guy's got what I need. Thanks, pal. I'm going to copy this. We're going to import it in. Who did this come from? Orc Shaman by Mick Schmidt on DeviantArt. Let's go take a look at him real quick. Mick Schmidt. Let's copy his link address and drop it down here in the chat. I think that went properly. Yeah, there we go. That's who we are borrowing color from today. So I think it'd just be a really great idea just to do a shout out real quick of people that I'm grabbing their color palettes off. Obviously, I resonate with this guy's work, so just spend a second and just give him some respect. Oh, cool. He's done Earthbound work. Neato. This guy's pro. Like the line art. That's good stuff. I'm sure there's an up button around here someplace. I've only been using that damn thing for like ever. More actions? Nope. Alright, well, love to you, buddy. Mate, your stuff is good. Let's look at this real quick. Neat. I like it. Very cool. All right, so thank you very much for the color reference, Make. And I don't know if that's how you pronounce your name, but love to you, my friend. Say through, you now have color. Ref. Let's see. So we got our line. We got our sketch art. I'm pretty happy with it. So we're going to blip blip, and we're going to go ref. Let's go with line. And then we're going to go with color. There we go. Color. There. Yeah, I like that palette. That's good. Yeah, I don't see color, so I have to find references online, and I always look for dichotomy. Like I trust the label. Sometimes I get fooled by filters, or like I can never remember the word. Like it's like a wash, you know. It's a term when you have a it's a style art. Like everything like has an orange haze on it, or has a blue haze on it, or a golden haze to it. I always forget the word of what that method of painting is. But if we just just call it a wash, a color wash, that probably gets the point across. But color washes can confuse me, and I'm getting better at detecting them. Mostly it's my familiarity with the RGB scale that really lets me cheat. Not seeing color, because since all I see is black and white, all I care about is contrast. And those that see color tell me that actually contrast is one of the trickiest things for color painting, because the colors lie to them about how much dichotomy is actually happening in the lights and the values of the piece. Because the color is doing lifting and distinguishing one space from another, even though they may be the same gray tone altogether. Since all I see are gray tones, all I'm ever looking for is a lot of changes, light, dark values, like light, dark, darker, dark, light, dark, light, and that's about the same type of light. I recognize this is a very similar. This is a little bit lighter, and I do know that because this is a little lighter than the shadow we've got going on underneath here, it's pretty good. This here and say this here, those are actually very similar tones of value, even though the colors are going to be radically different. But because the colors are so radically different, I know I can get away with it. So I can go light, dark, light, and then it ends dark. So light, dark, light, dark. Very light, light, dark. Dark, very light, or dark, light, dark. It's like these things, like this color coding is bouncing really nicely. This is something that I've been working. This is stuff I've been thinking about lately. Like how do you make sure you're punching up the contrast in your piece, and that's by rotate, like flipping between one sharp value against another, and it's creating the, like in this instance we have this like striping effect. I don't know if I necessarily like that or not, but he's an Ader Academy guy. This is actually kind of similar to what. That's right. I actually referenced that, so that's not horribly. That's not a horrible pattern. It's accurate. I'm not thrilled with it overall. I think I would have designed something different, but I found something for Ader Academy, so I'm going to use it. I like this piece. Dark, light, dark, light, dark, light, dark. See, it's got that same patterning going on that we have throughout all these different pieces. That's just something I've been playing with on this page in particular, as I just get more familiar with just painting in general, as I continue to try to expand how I can express color without actually seeing it. These are fun little. These are fun little projects that I get to work on, and they just get to become spot art inside of the book. Like we'll have, descriptions of each of these characters and what they're offering here. It's like a little splash page sort of thing, and then we can like have a half page elsewhere of like more details, because they have a motive. They give you an objective, they give you a means of getting there, and they give you some sort of a resource or information that helps you achieve your specific goal. And so if you're like doing a one shot, you can have like, you can roll a d6 to see what plot hook leads each character into arriving at the dungeon at the same time, and everyone decides to work together without necessarily sharing what their motivations are, as a fun little one shot group exercise if you wanted to. But otherwise, you can just take any number of these plots that make sense for the campaign that you're running and just weave them in. But I've talked about that a lot in the past, so if you want to hear me philosophize about game tech, go check the previous channels, the previous streams, because I talk about it a lot. I should probably pluck all that stuff out and drop them in as separate little conversations to pull out. But I guess I could just start pulling pieces apart and just publishing them, like going all the way back to the very beginning, and just look for nuggets of stuff that are maybe worth a damn. That could actually be a lot of fun. Just like to start over and just start plucking all that stuff out to build these libraries of information. That'd be kind of cool, man. Give me a reason to go back and look at my own junk again. This is very dark. I'm going to end up lightening this up, and I'll show you how I do that when we get there. Right now I'm just going to block it in. Yeah, I actually want this underneath the head. His eyebrows just flow into his beard and his mane. I love it. So feral. This guy's a member of the Gatekeeper Circle of Druids. They save the world from interdimensional threats one way or another, with as much hostility as necessary. But these guys are smart, maybe wily, and yeah, just wise. That feels right. These guys have been around for thousands of years, tracking the movements of the planes. So when they see something, like the whole point of this adventure is that somebody's creating an off the calendar cotermination between the plane of Mabar and Eberron. It's not supposed to happen for anywhere from 10 years to 1,000 years from now, depending on how you want to spin your calendar. But it's certainly not supposed to be happening right now, and some asshole in Karnath figured out a ritual that would pull the plane into alignment ahead of time, so the gatekeepers aren't ready for a permanent portal to open to the plane of nightmares and death. So they need you to go plug that hole. And it's an 8th level adventure, and in Eberron, 8th level is kind of a big deal. Like because most of the heroes, like all the real heroes, they all died in the last war. So the next generation is the only generation of heroes there are, and you guys are still on the climb. So there's still world threats that are honestly just too fucking big for you to handle by yourself. You need more people to help out. Like if you run a 1 to 20 campaign, you can, if you're playing the last war, then you can be one of the first of the next generation of true superpowers that can shape the world as it moves. So if you're hooking in with the gatekeepers, you get to do a lot of planar stuff because they know what's going on with the calendar and the movement of the planes through either astral or ethereal or both, depending on what cosmology you enjoy playing with the most. And they're all like that. All 6 of them are different. They all have different motives and backgrounds and strengths to being a part of their team. The goals for the... did I set my timer? Hold on. I don't think I did. All right. We got somewhere between 40 minutes and an hour. We'll see how I sit. We'll see how I sit after 40 minutes. I may have to... I think I gotta cut this short. I've been... I'm off the antibiotics for my leg from when I got the cellulitis infection up my leg. I got a second dose of antibiotic pills, and they didn't take. So, or rather, I finished off the first batch, and the first batch didn't do it, so I had to get another batch. And the second batch just finished on Friday. So I've gone the weekend now without any further antibiotics, and it feels, honestly, it felt off for a lot of the day, and I had to lay down a lot to make sure that I was, like, my leg was swelling up a lot, and it was, I was concerned I'd have to get a third dose of antibiotics to chase this thing off, which is bad news if you know anything about, becoming resistant to antibiotics. That would be a tough road to sow for me. So I'm having to get really smart about how are my feet doing, making sure I don't have cuts on my legs, make sure I don't get another infection. So I'm going to have to be vigilant, apparently, which is fine. My legs could probably use some attention. Anyway, so the point is that I had to lay down a lot to keep up. My legs were swelling up. That was one of my concerns. So I just had to lay down for a while to let the to let the juice drain out, and I've done that a couple times during today, and my legs are back in really good condition, so I figured I'd jump up and get some artwork done here tonight before I want to lay back down again. Hence me being late to stream, much later than I usually prefer to be, as well as not sticking around long tonight. But I'm hoping everything's gonna be all a-okay starting again tomorrow. Don't anticipate any further problems at this time. Get rid of that speck there. Fill it with here. This guy is great. Where's a moogly moogly? Who's my fuzzly muzzle? Let's find. Let's see if this. Hey, how you doing, Nitro? You caught me taunting my pictures. Let's see. What color reference do I want to pull off of this? Ah, that's a good place to start. Let's find the. Gonna block it in. How you doing, Nitro? What's going on, my man? The color reference, this Mike fellow is the deviant artist that I stole this artwork off of, so I can color reference it during the process. I figured it'd be respectful to provide link to what those things are, so my modest little channel can pay its tribute to artists I like their color palette. Seems like a good practice. And I have to go there, I mean, I pretty much have to pull the picture anyway, so... Trying to be a better citizen. Get a job. Model citizen. I am a huge Lilo and Stitch fan. Lilo and Stitch is probably my favorite Disney movie. Moana is also incredibly good. On the Pixar side of things, I would say Tangled is my favorite. Pixar, fable, fairy tale, whatever. That's just a fun film. Also a very big fan of Mulan. The original. I didn't like the live action. The original was actually felt good to watch that film. Always appreciated it. I think Eddie Murphy was a little crass, like brash, almost like a brassy is what I'm trying to say. Like there was a smoothness, a wind. It was a very wind instrument sort of. Winds and drums is how a lot of I recall about the Mulan animation. But Eddie Murphy is a very sharp, brassy trombone of a voice that it was very punchy. It stood out a lot, but and honestly, as comic relief, I don't know what would have been a better solution. So, cheers to the casting team there. But I don't know. I don't need comic relief sidekicks like that. Apu couldn't talk and was very mannerism based. but that was a really great counterfoil to how fast the text coming out of Robin Williams was. That he would fire off so much stuff. It was actually a really great counterpoint for Apu to not speak at all, but to pantomime and gesture and over-emote everything, because that kind of like complemented but also tempered Robin Williams' role, you know, because he starts to roll. Doing well. Got invited to play in a Fabula Ultima campaign. Neato. Session 0 is on Sunday, but what kind of TTRPGs have you played outside of the immediate D&D high fantasy sphere? Hey, Dreams. Yeah, great question. So let's see. Let's work. Let's see if I can grab a color palette real quick, and I can go on a tirade about role-playing games. Please bait me into conversations. Well done, Nitro. All right, so I started with Redbox. And on my birthday, my 12th birthday, I received a copy of Redbox as well as the Unearthed Arcana for first edition Dungeons & Dragons. Those are the only two books that I got. And then I got The Lost City. And I can never remember the name of the module from Beckme. It was something like Sordon, the Frog God, or something. I can't ever remember the name of that adventure. Zoju. I'll have to look it up. It's got a giant frog on the front of it, being shot with a lightning bolt. It's just kind of hard to miss. But that and a stack of lead figurines. That was my birthday gift on 12. So I didn't at first realize that they were different games. I was only given pieces of both systems. But this was in '87, and so first edition was gaining steam. So and I was mowing lawns. So I'd spend my lawnmower money at 12 years old on D&D books. I've talked about that before. But that was the first game that I purchased. The first game I was introduced to D&D, and it was just my parents bought me books because they knew I liked the cartoon. I loved the cartoon. Loved the cartoon since I was 5. So like, yeah, kid loves the D&D cartoon. Let's get into books. He likes to draw. Maybe he'll think this is cool. They're very encouraging of my art. I love them forever for that. Thank you, parents. From there, I would go each week to B. Dalton books or Walden books, and read the games that were there. And then Robotech and Rifts started rolling in, and so I picked up the Robotech book, and that's what got me into armor and giant robots, and then that got me into, because I was watching Robotech on TV. At that time, that's when Siembada got the license. I think I botched his name. Kevin Siembada, I believe is Siembiada. I don't know how it's supposed to be pronounced. Anyway, cool books. Riffs are the fucking bomb. Riffs, I got into the kids that I hung out with. Okay, so just a little more detail here. In high school, we had each quarter we would have a different physical arts class that we would take. Shop, home ec, stuff like that. And so the first quarter that I was in school, I was in sewing class, learn how to sew, and I was fucking around with the scissors. And I had a long string, and I was trying to cut it, and the fucking thing was pissing me off. So I was just kind of, you know, fucking around like almost like lighting a cigarette. I was snapping the scissors shut, and I cut my finger almost off, like the tip of my finger. I cut it down to the bone. 17 stitches in a very small area, and it took about 2 months to heal. So the faculty, because I don't see well, they know I don't see well. It's an ongoing issue. Notes, getting beaten up, stuff like that for being the weird kid. But faculty started worrying about liability, and they didn't want to send me to shop class. They didn't want me catching things on fire in home ec. So instead of me taking all these quarterly courses as a freshman, I was put in the seniors study hall for the entire year. So all the kids that I hung out with as a freshman were like the cigarette dope smoking kids that were like reading comic books and like drawing on their books and shit like that. There's like a big cluster of us, and I was in there and I was drawing stuff all the time, and we would just shoot the shit. They'd introduce me to different comic books. That's how I got into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And then I picked up the TMNT RPG. I wasn't cool enough to hang out with outside of class, but I was an interesting an interesting cultural experience for them when they got to hang out with me. But I was very, very good at being sarcastic and scathing with wit. So it didn't take long for me to actually be able to hold my own and throwing insults back and forth at each other. And it gave me really good training on being fast on my feet and really ratcheting up my sarcasm and like low simmer sort of snarkiness. And I got really, really good at writing on top of other people's conversations, like commenting about what people are saying without directly saying anything to them about it, but making it obvious to anyone that I was talking to that I was talking about them, that kind of shit. Super exquisite high school survival skill kind of crap. But the reason I bring it up is because they were introducing me to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, X-Men, Avengers, Image Comics was just started up. So I was in this cool crowd of kids that were into like Bubblegum Crisis, and it was cool, man. So that got me, that's what led me into the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles role-playing game. That's what got me into what was it? Gamma World. Fuck, man. Gamma World. Jesus, I love Gamma World. Then after that ended, at the end of the school year, that's when I just started getting into Gamma World. And then I ran into a new clique of friends as a sophomore. My friend Kyle, and he had 3 brothers. He was the oldest, so it was age range between. By the time we were getting ready to go to college, it was Kyle and I were 17, turning 18. The middle brother was 15, just about to turn 16, and the youngest was 14. And so and then they had a neighbor that was also 15. So we had just a ready-made team of tabletop players for like a good 2 or 3 years. So I'd go over to their house every weekend and we'd play D&D and drink Dr. Pepper all night. But that'd be a mix between Gamma World and D&D. I didn't play a lot of. I was interested in Rifts, but actually didn't really get into Rifts until college. That's when I also started playing. I think it was 2nd edition, Call of Cthulhu. I also started playing World of Darkness. I got introduced into live action role playing game because a goth chick I thought was cute. I thought she wanted to date me, but she really just wanted somebody that was interested in playing Guru because she needed a bodyguard. I'm like, you're a cute chick, but we're done. So I left the live action role playing scene pretty quickly. But I gained a healthy respect for how many chicks on college campus during that time were into vampire or changeling. And so that was fun. But so I was never interested in World of Darkness, but I was interested in knowing as much as I could about it. So there's that. Let's see. And then there was, played a little bit of Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, and then there was there was Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition during all of that. I always played D&D at least once a month during all of that, and if not weekly. And then 3rd edition. I had when me and my gal moved to Arizona. We had just started building a D&D team when 3rd edition came out, and that created a new just swarm of players. So I ended up hooking in with some like really good people that I play in a Curse of Strahd game with them right now. It's the only game I don't DM, and it's fun. It's nice. It's a every other week game I get to tear free with. But I've played 3rd edition with those dudes for probably 9 years. That's where all my epic level experience came from, and like most of my philosophies behind like high scale combat and not being intimidated by what the characters can do. Like that's where all that stuff spawned from. But I only played a little bit of 4E in Adventure League, and then I played. I didn't like 4th edition. So I got into Numenera, and I didn't want to play 5th edition yet because I didn't like 4th edition, and I wasn't ready just to jump on whatever the next bandwagon was. So I opted for Numenera for about 15 months or so, and I think it was by 2017. I think by 2017 I was playing 2016 I was playing 5e, and then by I believe it was 2016 I started designing. That's when Ravnica came out. That's when I started designing the color mana system that is linked in the description down below. And then I've been running playtest campaigns for 5e since then. So like maybe like 6 systems Gamma World, World of Darkness, Call of Cthulhu, Rifts. Well, the entire Palladium, TMNT, Robotech. As well as Rifts. That's like a big chunk of fucking change. But we'll group that all together just under Palladium. So I'm well versed in Palladium systems, D&D systems, Palladium systems, a little bit of GURPS in there. I didn't like GURPS at all. GURPS, Gamma World. 1, 2, 3, Call of Cthulhu 4. Shadowrun, fucking A, Shadowrun. God, I played Shadowrun for like 2 years in high school before intermixed with because the kids I'd play D&D with, they would disappear occasionally, camp, like summer camp and shit like that. So I had a different team that I played Shadowrun with for a little bit. So Shadowrun, and then Cypher System. Yeah, those are my 6 alternates. But again, Palladium's like 4 games, but just different settings. It's all the same game system mechanics. So I think that's all of them. It's not a huge list. Oh yeah, World of Darkness 7. So there you go. Can't forget about the Goths. Yeah, not massive. Oh my god, Hole! Oh, fucking A. Human Occupied Landfill. Hole is amazing. That game is like the Mort Gorg of 1995. It was such a great game. You could die during character creation. Like you're stillborn. Your character's fucking stillborn. Roll again. Or like you're killed at clown college. Make a new character. Or anytime your stats dip below 0 because of penalties you take. Start over. New character. You die. It was a great game. God, Hole was one of those games that it was a lot more fun to read and laugh at it than to actually play it. It was jank as shit. But it was fun to read though. That is for certain. Fucking Hole. Can't believe I forgot about that. Legendary. You know what? I want to give less shits about my artwork when I'm producing things. I'm really interested in like heavy flair. I want to get into monotone, like not doing gradient shading like this. Just have line art with with just flat colors. I think that's the direction I want to go in. Like just like one color for the entire piece, like line art with a color and like a wash fade or something, and like change up the colors depending on. I don't know what I want to do, but I'm pretty convinced that when I leave the Dungeon Masters Guild for other projects, I'm seriously considering limiting my color palette and building so I can build things faster. Like this book has been, well, this book's still in edits, but like my Spelljammer book, man, like I've had to, well, honestly, I don't mind how long it's taking, because every time I come over the book, I'm like, you know what, I can lay this out a little bit better. So I kind of have to recant hating how long it's taking for that book to come out, but I definitely recognize the color process is forcing me to slow cook the fuck out of it. Slower than I probably want, but considering what I just said, like I keep finding things like, you know what, I can say this more efficiently. That's the sort of, like, if you check out the Color Mana books that I have, you'll see I've updated those things like a number of times. Because at some point you can only get the text so good. It's like you got to put the idea out there, just make it happen. But the great thing about PDFs is you can just go every time you're like, oh, you know what, I can word that better, or I think I can do a little bit better detail on that picture, and you can go and you can fix something, and then you just republish it. And there's a history of all the versions that you had iterated through during the process. So it's kind of like here, except as like post-publication edits, like just constantly going back and feeding into it. So I was, God, Color Mana's been out for, I guess, like 3 years now. That's fucking insane. But for a while, I was going in and updating it every 6 months. It's like, I had some time to chew on this and XYZ. That's where the revised Color Mana spell point list came from. Instead of having all spells devoted to only one color, there's a mix of how many colors each spell could be. Like some like counter spells only blue, and I had a big fight about that at one point. But I wanted counter spell to be white because of the way that all the spells were lining up. It was making logically making up that the things that were white spells that I found in D&D at that time were reading more like control and limitations, and at the time I was translating that as a very, very white feature, and I still do. But the zeitgeist is like, if counterspell isn't blue, you're stupid. So I just folded under peer pressure and decided just to make counterspell blue. Why not? And then that allowed me to get down off of my creator high horse and acknowledge that, sometimes it doesn't matter what you think is right. It's more about what people want and how well it plays. It might not be the best thing, but maybe it's the best thing for the audience that's interested in what it is, and learn where my limits are as a pure artist versus someone who's trying to provide something that the art then becomes theirs because they want to use it to play a game. Like it's just artwork as a book. It's not your artwork until you actually start using it to play the game. So that's where I really want to build things that's where people want to go. Like, be excited to play, be excited about playing the shit that I build. So I'm attempting to learn the process of streamlining for the sake of efficiency and ease of gameplay. So I'm kind of getting where Wizards comes from with a lot of decision making they do. Like I've always got how easy advantage disadvantage is, for example, but it's so binary, which is a major frustration for a lot of developers. But if you're going to introduce mechanics into something, and you're trying to take people to a certain narrative, having simple mechanics is an easy way for them to get on board with where you're trying to go. If what you're trying to do is introduce more novel mechanics, then obviously having levers and bells and whistles and stuff for people to pull is kind of the point of the mechanics. But so there's that fight between aesthetics versus mechanics, I guess, is the best way to sum that up. And I'm trying to as I like all the work that I've done up until this Eberron adventure has been technical work. I'm building mechanical systems to express character narratives better. It's not so much the like the Theurgy book, ability score casting. It's rituals that you make ability score checks with. That opens the door as a mechanic to allow NPCs of any level of power to bumble their way through a really dangerous high-level ritual and completely fuck it up. And now you have a reason for the world to be destroyed, or you can like have a city get plagued by monsters because somebody really screwed up a summon monster spell because they wanted a pet hippogriff or something. Who knows, whatever. But that's what that book is about. It's about allowing characters to take more downtime because they can perform rituals to cast spells for free if they can pass the ability checks and they're willing to spend the time to do it. Like 4 hours out of your day to cast like a 5th level spell, for instance. Like, yeah, it would be great to contact other plane, and you have a ritual for that, sure. But other things like, I don't know, polymorph, for instance. Like if you're going to do a heist, and you know when the heist is, you can spend time performing rituals to goose up your what your magic is going to do without eating your own resources in the process by performing Theurgy. So that's like a mechanic. It's just a mechanical system about making ability check rolls over time to be able to complete a ritual. And if you fuck up, it has a mishap. And there's like a lot of tables about here's the different types of mishaps. Here's a necromancy versus conjuration versus abjuration theme. Here's a color theme if you're using color magic. And here's just general fuck ups by scale of level if you want to do something unique. But it introduced an opportunity to just introduce ad hoc random chaos magic into your campaign because somebody wanted to raise their dead daughter and they're in a world of magic, so they think they can potentially try doing that shit, and now there's a zombie apocalypse. Well done, asshole. So, he's going to go away forever. You're going to go to prison when this is over, buddy. But that's an example of like just me building mechanics to help create a platform for narrative. Like the color mana system that I have it's a very strong platform. If you want to play Magic the Gathering inspired games, you can literally tap mana to cast Fly. It's that easy. So it's fucking awesome. But as I move away from D&D and I start to and I start thinking about where am I going to go if I decide to leave DMsGuild and leave 5e in general, or even just use SRD and just exit the space of Wizards of the Coast IPs, I kind of have to start thinking about what is the IPs that I'm wanting to develop or switch gears into supporting. That's a fun process, and I don't know where it's going. It's not important yet. I've got at least another year of doing stuff on DMsGuild before I start jumping ship. And God's prayer, I'll pick up a crowd that's interested in seeing me go off into that new space and do that shit with me. So I think it'd be super cool to have Kickstarters pay for all this artwork up front, and I can just spend time with people building the artwork while we talk shit about whatever the Kickstarter project is. And, by the time the thing actually gets finished and running, maybe there's like 2 or 3 guys who's like, yeah, I got some supplements that are already ready to go. It's like, cool, let's bundle that shit and put it on, Drive-Thru RPG. Like, I can build the flagship here online. Anyone that wants to tag along, if they like to cut on my jib, I think that'd be really fucking cool. If I had the kind of clout that MCDM had, if I had the kind of firepower that Cobalt Press has, I think that's the kind of community I would build. Because I always build all my shit up front for you guys to look at. I always provide all your stuff, free to view. So when I start doing Kickstarters, I'll have the playtest document. It'll just be in a read-only Google Doc, just like all my other shit is. You can check it out, and when the thing gets built, you're basically supporting the ideas that go into it and all the artwork I'm going to dump into it. Anyway, I'm talking business again. You got me monologuing. I'm excited though. I'm excited to see where it goes. I've been thinking about cipher system. I'm liking what Keta does. 3 shades is a sweet spot for simple shading. It really, yeah, it really is. It's very, very simple. But I like these gradient, like these. I'm getting pretty good at just doing gradient fades just on the fly, and I'm liking more and more the almost like the airbrushedness, like kind of almost like chrome cast that can come out of these sort of things. I think it's a lot of fun. This is using that the smudge brush is the new cloud brush that we built on that when we were building the brush sets, doing example brush sets. I like this cloud brush so much I've used it ever since. It's my new default smudge brush. It is so smooth. It has no drag, and it crushes. It absolutely crushes through the CPU. Like, it has no drag on data. Like some brushes, for those that knows, in Photoshop, when you do a tight spacing, large resolution brush, you'll get a spinning hourglass while the thing tries to process that stroke, and you don't even know how it ends until it ends. But the settings we have for our smudge brushes and the way that we build them with the layered opacities, it makes for an incredibly efficient, fast flow on the fly, like very on the fly smudge that allows me to really just pull at that sort of gradient fade. It gives me that kind of, well, that like that 90s image sort of comic book look to it. Text. Oh, did you build your own cloud brush? That's awesome. Yeah, once you learn how to make your own brushes, it's like you don't need to buy them or get them from anyone. You can just see what they're doing, take them as inspiration, I guess. But like I always say, it's just brushes. You want to learn how to build your own brushes so that you get more. It's an opportunity for you to self-reflect on the techniques that you use, so you can self-evolve faster by being able to critique your own work by the type of brushes that you're building and the kind of effects that they have on the work that you're doing. I like that. This guy's like dark. Go back in here. Perfect. I don't know, it doesn't look like I did anything there, but when I go back in and I start working on a line art that's going to make a difference, you'll see. I'm liking this beast. It's looking good. I might get rid of these shoulder pads and replace it with just fur. I'm a big fan of fur. And I've got, well, this guy's got fur trim going on, but he's got structure. So these guys are just doing peasant stuff. She's got banded. He's in a suit. Yeah, I could probably get bear-like with this guy. I think I'm gonna do a bear over. Can't be helped. Must be done. Man, I'm gonna let this guy sit like that for a bit. Skin. Mane. Bear. Well, I mean, we do have the bear reference here. So, is the one that we're working on right now. Yeah, the Gate Watchers. Yep, this is him. His name is Sethu Solga. Don't know why. That's his name. But yeah, the bunch of feral orcs protecting the world because everyone else is too weak to do it. I'm gonna go in. Line. Ah, yeah. Oh. I'm being stupid. I'm going to pick this up. I think I'm going to do this. I like these underpinnings a lot better. That feels much better. I can bear this up, and then I can leave this ribbing that feels actually very Pathfinder to me. So I'm much hipper to that. Put giant bear claws here. Dope. All right, so that's where we're at. So we know what we're doing. Bok choy, bok choy. Here. Bop. Perfect. It's a real fine way to start. Meow? Wait, no, meow. Why for do you as? Fine, whatever. Sorry, brain broken. What? Yep. Base color. Let's come back in through with mid-tone. And we can go over this with leather. So all we need to do is here. Yeah, I was gonna say what the deuce. Much better. Here. Blow through the lines. I want to commit that far into this. No. Don't think we do. I think we want to be like here. Yeah? Timely timer. Keeping time. Yep. How we doing? 9 o'clock. I'm not going to get this finished tonight, you can tell. Everyone already knows this one's not going to get done tonight. Maybe like that. Fuzzy bear. Fuzzy bear goes to there. Maybe this guy has a little bit of barbarian mixed into him. His stats are yours. He's just a hook. If he has some sort of relevance in your world, then fantastic. Happy to bring him to you. But beyond him saying, here's a tree stride, go throw this rock at that portal so it gets destroyed, like, you know. When you get back to him, he'll give you like magic items or some shit. I don't remember what it is. You get stuff like a favor. I think like he'll like do rituals for you. I think like a rare level magic item, something like that. I don't remember what the gifts are. There are suggestions anyway. If you're adding this into it, if it's just a one shot, who cares? If it's a part of an ongoing campaign, then obviously you're going to provide whatever it is that the team actually wants. Almost done. There we go. Fuzzy Wuzzy. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a bear, now he's just a piece of armor. Fuzzy Wuzzy's still pretty fuzzy, isn't he? Only you knew what this bear had heard. I don't know if any of you have read the White Plume Mountain, the Greyhawk Adventures, Descent into Descend into the Underdark, and then Pit of the Spider Queen. It was a Greyhawk trilogy starring Escala, the Pixie, Enid, the Sphinx, and Justicar, the Ranger, with a sentient hellhound pelt that he wore, and it was his dog, but he wore it because it was awakened or animated dead or whatever it is. It was some sort of ritual, but he scored it off of a demon, and Singe his hellhound, and so like they'd feed Singe, like occasionally they'd pet him and feed him and stuff like that. And his tail would thump on the back, on Justicar's back, so he would know when Singe liked something or didn't like something. Breathe fire as a bonus action sort of attack off of his shoulder. But it was, God, that series was so fucking funny. If you have not had it's Paul Kidd is the author, and I think it's issue number 271 or 274 of Dragon magazine that Paul Kidd did a guest short story, and he used the White Plume Mountain team, Justicar's team, to for this. Basically, they find a random castle, and the Pixie is immediately like, we gotta loot this thing, we gotta go, and Justicar's like, no, this is so off target. And Enid's like, well, there's probably actually a lot of really interesting old pieces of information, and at that point the two girls just run off, and Justice's like, oh my God. And so it has them going through this dilapidated wizard's tower, springing all these different traps and getting each other almost killed. It's classic. It's so classic. If you have not read, his books are amazing. I didn't even read I hadn't read the books. I first encountered him through the short story, and the characters were so fucking funny. I'm like, there's a whole trilogy about these guys. I am so in. And it's basically a narrative. It's a novel of going through the Temple of Elemental Evil. It's just basically running that campaign in Greyhawk, and these jackasses are the characters that are at the table. And I mean, they never break character, and it's better. I would say it sits someplace comfortably between The Witcher and Dresden Files. Like, it's in a really interesting comical space between those two things, where you have like the Justicar is like very much like whatever the Witcher's name is, and I only know the show, so like, but I understand some of it was accurate. Anyway, you can debate me about it, whatever, you'll win. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, having pelts on chest makes me think of Justicar and his Hellhound pelt singed. It's so fun. Once they get into the demon web pits, it's so fucking awesome. They end up turning a Marilith. Oh god, I can't. It's just, oh my god, it's so. I'm sorry, I don't mean to spoiler, but god damn, it is so awesome. They make a friend with a major demon, basically off of worker rights issues. It's just so fucking awesome. Like, my team would totally do that kind of crap. It is so great. So great. God, so great. Alright. I'm fucking A. Goddamn Justicar. So good. Anyway. It's 9:10. This feels like the right place for me to stop for the night. So this is where I'm going to stop for the night. I'm going to be back doing this Thursday night, probably a little earlier than I did tonight. But Thursday night is Eberron. Mondays and Thursdays is Eberron. Monday through Friday in the morning, in about 9 hours, I'll be back on doing more ship combat artwork for the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration book that we'll be publishing October-ish. And then on Tuesday, that's tomorrow, Tuesday lunchtime, we've finished the Barbarian. So now we're going into the subclass breakdown using the martial power system for all the fighter subclasses. So we'll start that tomorrow. And then on Saturday, we do commission works and private projects, or personal projects. And right now we're doing a book cover for Andy Headley and Brian Holmes of Old Goat and Fallen Wyvern games. They hired me to make a book cover for them, and I've been having a gas with it. So that's it for now, guys. I'm outie. Bear pelts or owlbear pelts? That is the question. Ooh. Let's figure that out when we come back. So I'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot for hanging out, guys. I'll see you on the other. Bye.